Hello, sweet viewers. Annyeong. That means hi in Korean. I'm Christine from Kimbap TV, empowering you to live a happier and safer life, especially if you're a fellow domestic violence survivor. In this video, I want to talk about trauma bonding. One of the questions I get the most from people who haven't experienced domestic violence is, why can't they just leave? Well, it's not that simple. And trauma bonding is one of the big reasons why many people experiencing abuse have a difficult time walking away. So I hope this video can help clarify to both survivors and their loved ones about this invisible yet significant component of domestic violence. A trauma bond is an emotional attachment that develops after a victim experiences multiple cycles of domestic violence. DV is a repeated cycle of abuse, devaluation, followed by positive reinforcement. In other words, the abuse alternates with kindness and intimacy, and for many victims, this experience creates powerful feelings. When I think back to when I first met my abuser, he was so kind and loving. It's natural to develop a deep bond with someone who treats you so well. My abuser also learned to speak in my love languages, words of affirmation, in this case, assurances of love, and gift giving, his way of showering me with affection and generosity. Then the abuse began, and it took me by surprise. Afterwards, he apologized or insisted that he was just upset and that I made him upset. There are a couple of general characteristics when it comes to traumatic bonding. The first is what I mentioned, that cycle of abuse. It's much easier to leave a relationship if things are black and white. If my abuser flipped the switch from the very beginning and stayed that way, I would have left, but he kept alternating. In abusive relationships, your partner does treat you well. Mine gave me gifts after blowing up, called me his soulmate, took me out to really nice places, and showered me with love. Eventually, love begins to overshadow the fear of further abuse. As I grew to trust my abuser more, I started ignoring or suppressing memories of his past behavior until the cycle started again. Another sign of traumatic bonding is an underlying imbalance of power. The victim may feel as if the abuser controls them, where they no longer know how to resist or break free. Victims may feel incomplete or lost without them and eventually return. The abusive cycle is more familiar than life without the abuser. I remember feeling so lost, like I became dependent on my abuser during our time together. So it was like weaning off of a drug, I guess. Being suddenly stripped away from him made me feel totally off balance and unable to cope for a while. So here are some tips to breaking this type of bond. First, write in a journal. Jot down what happens each day if something out of the norm happens. Did he surprise you with a really beautiful necklace? Did he yell at you at a restaurant and leave you behind? Did he make excuses for himself afterwards? Putting a date to when these things happen helped me to identify patterns later on. It also allowed me to notice problems with his behavior that may not have seemed abusive in that moment. Second, confide in someone. They aren't going to be as emotionally invested as you are, and they'll be able to have an easier time examining negative events that happen. When the abuse started escalating in my case, I started texting a few close friends after each episode. I told them that he dragged me off my bed, that my nose hurt a lot after he accidentally hurt me as he was doing that. It's not easy to open up about abuse. I used to get so defensive when family or friends expressed their concerns in the past. But if you're starting to suspect that you may be in an unhealthy relationship, know that your loved ones are there for you and challenge yourself to listen to them and consider what they're telling you. Third, avoid blaming yourself. Abuse is never your fault, and you do deserve better. I've been practicing replacing my self-criticism and other negative self-talk with positive affirmations. Fourth, cut off contact completely. Disrupt the cycle by not tempting yourself to look at your new or old text messages or answering a call. Once you make the decision to leave, just leave. Don't turn back. Create physical distance if you live with your abuser by finding a safe place to stay, maybe with a friend or a family member. Mute your abuser and his parents on your phone, but keep their texts and voicemails in case they're useful if you decide to press charges. And don't believe in your abuser's empty promises to change, go to therapy, etc. It takes time, a long time, for an abuser to truly change, and very few actually desire that type of transformation. And finally, get professional help. Therapy did wonders for me. Understanding my own trauma is critical to my healing process. A therapist can teach you more about patterns of abuse and help bring clarity to what you experienced. Going to therapy can also help you to confront self-blame and self-criticism, develop a self-care plan, and learn skills for building healthier relationships. I hope this helps. There are many resources online to help you take a deeper dive into this topic of traumatic bonding, and there are many organizations out there that have 24-hour hotlines with people wanting to talk to you and answer any questions you may have. If you found this video helpful, please take a moment to like, subscribe, and share it with someone else you think it can benefit. Thank you as always so much for watching, and I'll see you again in my next video. Bye.